I've been driving trucks for over 17 years now. Long hauls, overnight hauls, back roads, and straight highways. You name it, I've driven it. I've crossed snow-covered mountains in Colorado and blistering deserts in Arizona. I've passed through towns where the only sign of life was a flickering neon beer sign and a bored gas station clerk. But nothing comes close to the fear I feel when I take a job that runs through Clinton Road in New Jersey. Truckers talk. We sit at diners, truck stops, overnighters, and we share stories. Some of us bluff, others exaggerate. But when Clinton Road comes up, the mood always shifts. It's not just a road, it's a corridor of silence, of watching eyes, of things that don't belong to this world. Most of the stories get shrugged off as urban legends. But then there are the rules, unspoken at first, but eventually handed down like survival tips. I was parked at a dusty lot in Hackensack last week when a dispatcher offered me the run, one overnight trip to a warehouse outside Newark, cutting through Clinton Road to save time and fuel. It was good money. Too good. That should have been my first clue. Before I could accept, a weathered old man stepped from behind the vending machine. He had the kind of face that looked permanently carved by road dust and diesel fumes. He motioned me over with a half-eaten sandwich in hand and said, "You taking the Clinton Hall?" I nodded, curious. "Don't go without knowing the rules, son," he muttered. "They'll keep you alive." I laughed. "You serious?" His eyes didn't flinch. "Dead serious. If you ignore the rules, you won't just get lost. You'll disappear." I could feel the hairs rise on my arms, but my pride was louder than my caution. Still, something in the old man's voice made me listen. He scribbled the rules onto a torn piece of paper from his receipt book and handed it to me. "Keep this on your dashboard. You'll thank me later." I stuffed the paper into my glove box, half dismissed it, and forgot about it until night fell. The pickup was smooth. The container was sealed and preloaded. By 11:47 p.m., I was cruising down Route 23, heading toward Clinton Road. The sky was pitch black, starless. No traffic, no patrols, just me and the hum of the 18-wheeler under me. Then the GPS chirped, "Take the next exit onto Clinton Road." The moment I turned onto it, everything changed. The streetlights vanished. The trees leaned in like a tunnel swallowing the road. The asphalt looked older, cracked in strange spiderweb patterns. My headlights barely pierced the darkness ahead, and the radio gave nothing but static. I remembered the paper. Fumbling, I reached into the glove box and pulled out the old man's list. It read, "Rules for Clinton Road Run. 1. Keep your headlights on low beam. High beams will draw them. 2. If you see a child on the road, do not stop, no matter what. 3. At mile 7, a black truck might tail you. Do not engage. Do not brake. Do not speed up. 4. You will hear whispers. Do not respond. 5. If you reach a red light in the forest, back up slowly. You've gone too far. 6. Do not pick up hitchhikers. They are not going where you are." I exhaled sharply, unsure whether to laugh or be concerned. But as I drove deeper into the forest, every breath felt heavier. Minutes passed. Then, just around the curve, something darted across the road. It was small, maybe 3 feet tall, and fast. My heart jumped, and I slammed the brakes. The truck skidded a bit before coming to a halt. Ahead of me stood a child, barefoot, dirty, staring directly at my headlights. His eyes were hollow, glowing faintly blue. My hands froze on the wheel. Then I remembered rule number 2. Do not stop. I cursed under my breath and slowly pulled the truck back into gear. I edged forward. The child didn't move. I honked lightly, just enough to make noise without seeming aggressive. Still, he didn't move. I inched closer, my headlights now directly on him. Then, without blinking, he opened his mouth, too wide, unnaturally wide, and let out a sharp, high-pitched laugh that echoed all around the trees. I swerved slightly to the left and drove around him. When I looked in the rearview mirror, he was gone. The forest thickened, the road narrowed. There were no signs, no markers, no indication of how far I'd come. Just when I began to question everything, my dash camera flickered. It's nothing, I told myself. Old wiring. Then came the whispers. It started soft, like wind through the trees, but the cab was sealed. No air movement. And then the voices began forming words. Don't leave. You're part of the road now. Stay with us. I reached for the volume knob on the radio, but the static had changed. Now it was breathing, heavy, rhythmic, like someone sleeping right inside the speakers. My knuckles whitened on the steering wheel. My eyes darted to the rear view. For a brief second, I saw movement behind my rig. Headlights, a truck, black, no markings, tailgating me so close I couldn't see its grill. Rule number 3. I didn't brake, I didn't accelerate, I just kept steady at 40 miles per hour. The black truck didn't honk, didn't try to pass, didn't flash its lights. It just followed. Mile 7 ticked on the GPS, though the signal now blinked in and out. Then suddenly, the truck behind me vanished. No exit, no turn. 1 second it was there, the next it was gone. A curve approached, and I slowed slightly. That's when I saw the red light. A stoplight. In the middle of nowhere. Just one pole with a glowing red orb, illuminating the trees around it like blood dripping into water. Rule number 5, back up slowly. My instincts screamed to floor the gas and just get out of there. But something in me obeyed the list. I reversed slowly, steadily, until the light flickered off and disappeared into the forest. I kept driving. The road felt endless. Time stopped mattering. My coffee had gone cold. The silence inside the cab was so loud it pressed against my ears. Then in the distance I saw something. A hitchhiker. He was tall, wearing a wide-brimmed hat and long coat, standing just past a dead-end sign. His thumb was out, but his face was turned toward the trees. He wasn't watching the road. Rule number 6. I drove past him. My headlights briefly lit his face. He had no mouth. I didn't stop. By the time I hit the final stretch, the air felt different, lighter somehow. A sign appeared. Exit to Route 1 mile. I nearly cried with relief. The trees thinned. The whispers stopped. The GPS reconnected. I pulled into the lot near the Newark warehouse and parked the rig. My hands were shaking. My back was drenched in sweat. I stepped out, gulped air, and leaned against the trailer. The paper was still on the dashboard, fluttering slightly in the breeze coming through the window. A younger driver walked past, heading for his cab. He paused and looked at me. "Hey man, you all right? You look like you've seen a ghost." I looked up, my throat dry. "Just ran the Clinton Road route." He stopped in his tracks, eyes wide. "You made it?" I nodded, then glanced down at the paper. The last line had changed. In smeared ink, it now read, "Next time, the rules may be different." I didn't sleep the next day. I tried, believe me. I drew the curtains in the motel, set the AC low, and buried myself under the covers. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw that red traffic light glowing like a dying star. Or worse, his face. The hitchhiker with no mouth. His hollow eyes still haunted the edges of my vision, like he was burned into my brain. And when I finally drifted off, it wasn't rest that came. It was more of a paralysis, a dream that wasn't a dream. I was still in the truck, still driving down that cursed road, only this time the voices were louder, closer. Inside the cab, I woke up screaming. When I checked my phone, I had 3 missed calls from my dispatcher and 1 from an unknown number. I ignored them all, washed my face, and drove to a diner a few miles outside of Newark. I needed food and answers. Inside, the smell of bacon and burnt coffee comforted me more than it should have. I sat at the counter, ordered black coffee and eggs, and pulled out the piece of paper the old man had given me. The rules, still intact, except now there were 7. That last line I saw the night before had completely changed. It now read 7. Never go back, even if they ask you to. I stared at it, trying to make sense of what it meant. Go back? Why would I? And then my phone buzzed again. Unknown number. I almost let it go to voicemail, but curiosity got the better of me. I answered. There was silence. Then a soft crackle. And then my own voice came through the line. "Don't leave the road, please. You left me here. You left me here." My heart skipped a beat. I yanked the phone away from my ear like it had burned me and ended the call. I sat frozen, staring at the phone like it might ring again. What the hell was that? I paid the bill and headed back to the rig, deciding to haul back north and take a safer route through Pennsylvania. The Clinton Road shortcut had done enough damage. I wasn't going near that place again. At least, that's what I thought. But as I merged onto the freeway, something was wrong. The GPS was malfunctioning. It kept rerouting. Every alternative route it offered somehow looped me back to Clinton Road. Even when I tried to override it, it just froze, then shut down entirely. I reached for my backup, an old road atlas I kept under the passenger seat, and began following a manual route west. No electronics, no GPS, just printed maps and gut instinct. It was quiet for the first hour, then the radio clicked on by itself. I hadn't touched it. I hadn't even turned the knob. A male voice came through, raspy, familiar, but warped like it was underwater. "You broke the rules," it whispered. I slammed the power off. A second later, the CB radio came alive. I hadn't used it in months. "Breaker, breaker 19, the voice hissed. "You forgot your cargo. Turn back? Bring it back? Bring it back." I yanked the CB plug from its socket and nearly threw it across the cab. The road stretched on, trees whipping past, but it didn't feel like Pennsylvania. It felt wrong. The signs no longer made sense. "Dead end, 17 miles. Whispers only ahead. Welcome back, driver." I blinked. Were they real? Were they even there? I pulled over to catch my breath. Everything in me screamed, "Leave the truck, walk away," but I couldn't. Not because I didn't want to, but because I couldn't move. My hands were frozen on the wheel. My legs refused to obey. The cab felt like it was tightening around me, like it had become part of the road, part of Clinton, no matter where I thought I was. Then the dashboard lit up in red. "Route detected. Clinton Road. Time to destination, unknown." Never. I tried to throw the gear into reverse. Nothing. The truck began driving itself, slowly, steadily, back into the forest I thought I had escaped. I could see the trees again, those ancient towering branches clawing at the stars. I banged on the door, reached for the brake, yanked at the wheel. Nothing worked. The headlights flipped back to low beam without my touch. It was as if the rig knew the rules now. It was part of them. I passed the same child again, the barefoot one with the glowing eyes. This time he didn't stand in the road. He walked alongside me, pacing the truck perfectly, his head turning slowly to follow me. I shut my eyes. When I opened them, he was gone. The radio flicked on again. This time it wasn't just whispers. It was crying. Heavy, gasping sobs, like someone trapped in a box, alone, afraid. And then my name. Over and over. Not my trucker handle. My real name. The one I hadn't used in years. "Eli, Eli, help me. Please help me." I pulled the rig over again, panting on the edge of madness. I tore open the glove box and found the paper. The rules were changing again. Where there were once 7, now there were 8. 8. You must deliver what you took. Check the cargo. I stood up, stepped out of the cab, and walked to the rear of the trailer, my boots crunching against gravel and dry leaves. I unlocked the back. It groaned open slowly. Inside there were no boxes, no pallets, just fog, cold, thick fog that rolled out of the trailer like smoke. And in the center of it was a figure, back turned, shoulders trembling. A man in a trucker's jacket, covered in blood. I froze. Then his face was mine. Mouth stitched shut, eyes wide with terror. He reached toward me, hands trembling. In his palm, he held a folded paper, identical to the rules list. Only his had one final line. "You're already dead. You just haven't stopped driving yet." The man, no, the thing that looked like me, stood motionless inside the trailer, stitched mouth trembling as if it were trying to scream through the thread. My body felt disconnected, floating somewhere between disbelief and raw panic. I couldn't move, couldn't breathe, couldn't blink. That fog still rolled around him, thick like smoke from a dying fire. It smelled faintly of burnt oil and blood. My copy, my silent twin, stepped forward, one slow step at a time. His hand extended toward me, the paper still clutched in his palm. My legs finally obeyed. I stumbled backward, almost falling off the lowered trailer ramp. I don't know what made me reach for it. Maybe instinct, maybe fate. Maybe I already knew this was bigger than me. I took the paper from his outstretched hand. It was cold, damp, and warm with something else, blood. My name was written at the top. Below it, only one sentence. "There must always be a driver." When I looked up again, the stitched figure was gone, vanished into the mist inside the trailer like he had never existed. I slammed the doors shut and locked them, hands shaking like I just gripped a live wire. The forest was silent again. No whispers, no crying, just the low hum of the truck's engine idling behind me. I climbed back into the cab, but everything felt wrong. The seat felt colder. The wheel seemed slightly off, like someone had moved it while I was away. My air freshener, one of those pine tree ones, was now completely wilted, as if time had passed quicker inside than it had outside. The GPS blinked to life again. No input from me. Route locked, Clinton Road. ETA, when you remember, I cursed under my breath. My hands instinctively went for the ignition, but the truck was already in drive. The dashboard screen began showing flickers, not alerts, images, grainy black and white video footage, the inside of a house, a hallway, someone, me, walking through it with a young woman calling out from a bedroom. Eli, come back to bed. I froze. That voice, that name. I hadn't heard it since. The screen jumped. Now it showed the same hallway, same house, but it was burning. Flames licked the door frames. Smoke clouded the screen. And in the center of it, a charred figure crawled toward the camera, whispering something. You left us. The feed cut. The radio clicked on again. This time, the voice was younger, familiar in the worst way. Dad, are you coming home now? I slammed my fist against the dash, hard enough to make the CB mic fall to the floor. No, I growled. This isn't real. This isn't. But the rig started moving. I didn't touch the wheel. The forest grew darker outside. No moon, no stars, just endless trees reaching down like black veins into the road. The lines on the asphalt began to shift, bend, spiral, like the road itself was alive and breathing. My headlights caught something just ahead. A car, parked sideways across the road, emergency lights blinking. I braked hard. Smoke rose from its hood, and the driver's side door hung open. As I stepped down, my boots hit the pavement with a thud that echoed too loud. The forest seemed to lean in. No wind, no bugs, just silence. I approached the car cautiously, expecting another trick, another hallucination. But this time it felt different, real. Inside the car, a man sat slumped over the steering wheel. Blood trickled down his temple. He looked up slowly, face pale, eyes wild. You're the trucker, he stammered. I blinked. What? You're Eli, right? Eli Denton? I stepped back instinctively. How do you know my name? He pointed weakly behind me. They told me, the ones in the woods. They said if I could stop you, I'd be free. Free from what? I asked, but he just collapsed, unconscious or maybe worse. I looked into the trees. My flashlight barely reached them, but my stomach twist. Figures, at least a dozen, all motionless, all watching. Their eyes glowed faintly, yellow, inhuman. They didn't move. They just waited. For what? I didn't want to know. I rushed back to the cab, locked the door, and floored the gas pedal. The tires squealed as I skirted past the broken car, avoiding its mirror by inches. And still, the road stretched. But now I saw signs again. Real signs. Clinton Road ends, 2 miles. Final stop approaching, only one leaves. I didn't like the way the last sign was worded. I turned on the dome light inside the cab, needing anything to ground me. That's when I noticed something on the passenger seat. A photograph. Not mine. In it, I was smiling, holding a small boy, maybe 5 or 6, with his mother beside him. My wife. My son. I hadn't seen this photo in years. Not since the night of the fire. I thought it had all burned with the house. Tears welled in my eyes before I could stop them. My breath caught. And then, on the other side of the seat, he appeared again, the stitched version of me, sitting calmly in the passenger seat. He reached for the wheel. I grabbed it first. We fought, not physically, but mentally. His grip wasn't material, yet it had weight. He was trying to take over. His stitched mouth opened slowly, the threads snapping one by one. And when his mouth was free, he whispered something into my ear. Your seat is taken. I slammed my foot on the brake, sending the truck into a sharp skid. The trailer fishtailed behind me, and I fought to keep it upright. When the truck finally stopped, everything went silent. No stitched man, no forest watchers, just me, and the photo, and then headlights. A black truck, approaching fast, no driver visible. It stopped inches from my grill. And for the first time I understood. I hadn't escaped Clinton Road that first night. I had simply delayed what it wanted. Now it wanted payment, a replacement. The final rule hadn't been written yet, but I already knew what it would say. 9. You can only leave if someone takes your place. The black truck sat across from me, engine silent, lights on but no driver inside. Its headlights cast long, unnatural shadows that bent around the trees and curled along the edges of my windshield like fingers. The air outside was still. Inside my cab, it felt like pressure was building, like the world was holding its breath. I stared at the photo still lying on the passenger seat, me, my wife, my son, smiling, whole. That day had been perfect. The park, the soft breeze, my boy on my shoulders laughing. I remembered how alive I felt. And then I remembered the fire. It started in the kitchen. Faulty wires. I wasn't home. I was out on a haul, halfway through the Midwest. My wife called me once, just once. I missed it. She left a voicemail. Eli, the oven's sparking. I think it's serious. Call me. By the time I returned her call, the fire department had already found their bodies. I buried them. I burned my truck. I ran. I tried to keep driving, tried to forget. But Clinton Road doesn't let you forget. It waits for people like me, people with ghosts. I looked back at the black truck. The driver's seat was still empty, but I could feel it watching me. Not the vehicle, whatever was inside it, or whatever it represented. I took a breath and opened the door. As my boots hit the road, I noticed it again, the soundlessness. Not even the usual hum of insects. Just a thick silence, like I had stepped into a vacuum. I walked toward the black truck, heart hammering against my ribs. My own truck idled behind me, engine low and growling like a warning. When I reached the black truck's driver door, it opened on its own. I expected resistance, but it swung wide like it had been waiting for me. Inside was no steering wheel, no dashboard, just a seat, a mirror facing it. And in the mirror I saw myself. Not the stitched version, not the broken ghost, just me, but older, worn, haunted. He looked at me like he'd been waiting a long time, and then he spoke. "You have to make the trade." My mouth was dry. "Trade?" He nodded slowly. "You leave, someone stays. That's the rule." I took a step back. I didn't bring anyone with me. He didn't respond. He just stared. But I realized something horrible. I had brought someone. Not physically, not in the trailer, but in my memories, in my guilt, and somewhere, somehow, they had followed me. A child's voice echoed through the trees. "Dad," I turned fast. My son stood in the middle of the row wearing the same little red jacket from the photo, eyes wide, scared. "Dad, I'm lost." My heart shattered. I ran to him, dropped to my knees, and held him. He felt real, warm, fragile. He hugged me tight, like he hadn't seen me in years. "I waited," he whispered. "Why didn't you come back?" Tears streamed down my face. I had no words, just shame. Then I saw the figure behind him, my wife. Her long brown hair swayed in the still air, her skin pale, her eyes glassy, but her face soft. She looked at me the way she used to, before everything fell apart. They were both here, pulled in by me, trapped, just like me. The mirror inside the black truck glowed brighter now. The reflection was gone. Only a blank seat remained. The message was clear. Someone had to stay. I turned back to my rig. The trailer door had cracked open slightly. Fog rolled out again. A figure stood in the back. It was me again, the stitched man. But the thread was gone. His mouth was open, and he was smiling. He stepped down from the trailer and walked toward me. "I can take your place," he said calmly. "That's why I exist." I backed away. "Why would you do that?" "Because I'm the version of you who stayed behind. The part you left here, broken, guilt-ridden, abandoned." He glanced toward my wife and son. "You don't belong on this road anymore, Eli. But I do." The air grew colder. The forest darkened. The trees leaned closer. My wife stepped forward and touched my hand. "You can let go." I looked at the stitched version of myself, now fully human, it seemed. His face was tired, resigned, but ready. And I understood. This place didn't just punish the guilty. It absorbed them, recycled them, created reflections to serve it. And now I had a choice. I walked toward the black truck, opened the passenger side, and gestured for him to sit in the driver's seat. He climbed in without a word. The mirror returned. His reflection sat still. The engine roared to life. The truck slowly backed away, then turned and disappeared down the road in reverse, swallowed by the dark. My own truck's headlights flickered. A moment later, the GPS returned. Route cleared. Clinton Road complete. ETA, 23 minutes. "Welcome back, Eli." I looked down. The photograph was still on the seat. But this time, I was with them, at home, safe. It was a different picture, one that had never been taken in the real world. But maybe now it could be. I turned the key. The truck responded like it always used to. Clean, loyal, solid. The trees thinned, the shadows faded. And for the first time in a long time, the sky opened above me. Stars, wind, life. I was out. But one thought clung to the edge of my mind. The final rule, the one no one writes down, the one that stays buried under every whispered tale about Clinton Road. 10. If you survive, never look back. I didn't, not even once. It was like the forest had loosened its grip on me, spitting me out onto a clean stretch of highway that glowed faintly beneath my headlights. The stars were out, real stars. I hadn't seen them for what felt like days. The GPS calmly announced my route again. Doubt like nothing had happened. Continue for 1.7 miles, then merge onto Route 1. No static, no warped voices, just the normal robotic tone. But I didn't feel normal. The seat felt different beneath me. My hands gripped the wheel harder than they needed to, and every little shadow that flicked past the edges of the highway made me flinch. I told myself it was just muscle memory, the lingering weight of what I'd seen. But it wasn't that. It was the silence. Clinton Road had been full of noise. Whispers, cries, engine growls, strange voices, even my own past talking back to me. Out here, there was nothing. Just wind and the low purr of the engine. It felt too quiet. I glanced down at the passenger seat again. The photo was still there. The new one. My wife. My son. Me. Together. Not the old memory, but something else. Something that never actually happened, but now existed. The picture had weight, not just physically, but spiritually. And yet something inside me whispered, "It's not over. Not yet." The GPS pinged again. Merge onto Route 1. I did. For the next 10 minutes, everything stayed normal. Billboards, gas station lights in the distance. A radio station came back to life, playing low jazz, almost comforting. And then the voice came again, but not through the radio. It came from behind me. I didn't turn around. The warning echoed inside my head like a siren. Rule 10, never look back. I kept my eyes on the road, knuckles white on the wheel. The voice came again. "Eli, it's me." It was her voice. My wife. I grit my teeth. "You're not real," I whispered. "You left me," she said softly. "You left us." "No," I said, staring straight ahead. "I let go. I made peace." Silence. Then he didn't. A chill ran down my spine. The version of me that stayed behind, the stitched man, the one who took my place, he had chosen to remain. But maybe that place didn't keep him. Maybe it rejected him. And now, something was in the truck with me. The air grew colder. The windshield began to fog up from the inside. A faint breath pressed against my right ear. "You shouldn't have left." I clenched my jaw and stared harder at the road. It was the only thing tethering me to sanity. "You left me in the dark," the voice continued. "And now I'm driving too." I reached blindly toward the glove box. My fingers found the paper, the original list of rules. I hadn't thrown it away. I never could. I pulled it out. The paper had changed again. Below Rule 10, something new had been scrawled in thick black ink as if carved by a blade instead of written by hand. 11. If they return, do not answer. My chest tightened. Return? From where? The rearview mirror trembled slightly. Just a vibration, but enough to catch my eye. I resisted. My hands began to shake. The breath at my ear grew louder. "You're not even real," I whispered. "You stayed behind. You chose to. You're not me anymore." The breath stopped. For a moment, I thought it was over. Then, hands reached from behind and gripped my shoulders. Cold, wet, heavy. "You owe me," the stitched voice hissed. I traded places, but I didn't die. I jerked the wheel by accident. The truck swerved, tires screeching across the lanes. I fought to regain control. The headlights illuminated something up ahead. A red light, standing alone in the middle of the road. No intersection, no other vehicles, just a single glowing orb hanging from nothing. My blood ran cold. That light, rule number 5. If you reach a red light in the forest, back up slowly. You've gone too far. But I wasn't in the forest anymore. Or was I? I looked out the side windows. The gas stations were gone, the signs too. The trees were back, those same trees, thick, dark, watching. "No," I breathed. "No, I made it out. I finished this. I escaped." The photo on the seat dissolved into ash before my eyes. I screamed. Behind me, the stitched voice whispered, "There is no escape. There never was. The rules don't end. They just change." I slammed the brakes. The truck groaned to a stop, the red light still glowing ahead. My hands trembled as I reached for the gear shift. I knew the rule. Back up slowly. But before I could shift gears, the lights inside the cab flickered off. The engine died. Silence. Total silence. Even the red light disappeared. I was alone. In the dark. Then a new light appeared on the dash. Something I'd never seen before. A single word. Recruited. A long pause. Then, beneath it, "Welcome to the road." The truck started on its own, and I realized I hadn't escaped. Clinton Road wasn't a place anymore. It was me. I was the one who'd be waiting on the route now, watching, whispering, repeating the cycle. There must always be a driver. There must always be a voice in the static. There must always be rules. And soon, some poor bastard will turn onto that stretch of New Jersey asphalt in the middle of the night. And I'll be there, to greet them, to hand them the list, and to see what they're willing to trade.